Hey everyone, got a couple more people supposed to be coming up here on the panel. Got Reed here from Manifestations of Imagination, and supposed to have Kathy from North Star Prep Center be joining us here shortly. And
nice to see Kathy.
And maybe a couple others that will stop in if they can. I know Brett was a little disappointed because right now they're having at Broussard's homestead, they're having connectivity issues there. All right, so let's see who's all here. Scroll back up and do a welcome count. Okay, first one in was Howie at Food Forest Permaculture, then Prepping to Endure, P2E, Courtney at Wide Family Farm, Uncle Al at Die Bullfrog 79. Scroll down, and they're all chit-chatting there for a while. And back and forth. Mama Z's Texas Kitchen came in. Jay, and that's JEUFM. We just call him Jay. And let's see here. Everyone's having a nice little conversation there.
Mama Z makes.
Oh, someone gave me a dislike already? Wow. Probably one of those spammers I've been blocking that, with all those sexual innuendos, they make comments and stuff, and I've been blocking them all.
The weirdest things show up on the vids. Oh, man.
Okay, and I just got a robocall. All right, Kaylin Strain's in here. And let's scroll on down here. Michael 58, Butch at Sand Hollow Homestead. And let's see, Josh Connor is here. Keith Cronk is here. Hey, Keith. We got Rick at the Lala Farm. Ryan the Gamer's in the house. And the numbers are just rolling up here. Cecilia Jansen's here, and I'm caught up. All right. Okay, so I forgot to change the background. I was going to put a 9/11 background, but we're going to see plenty of 9/11 pictures here as we discuss about. Let me switch it over here too. 9/11, 19 years ago. Where were you? What were you doing? And what sort of impact did this event have on you? So guys in the chat, if you want me to make comment or you have a question or something, put it in caps, please, so it draws my attention to it. If you guys are just chatting amongst yourselves, you can do that too. So Reed, where were you? What were you doing 19 years ago?
I was a contractor for the Air Force and still going to college and everything. So as crazy it is though we had Lee and I were together back then, so we were sleeping in, getting ready to start the day, and we had the radio alarm clock turned to the news, right? I mean, that was what it would wake us up, or music or whatever. But I remember it turned on, and it wasn't the music; it was the announcer saying a plane has just crashed into one of the towers on, the World Trade Center towers. They're thinking they're not sure how it happened. They're mounting all these rescue people and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh wow. So we hit the snooze button. We just lay there some more. And, the timer goes by like 15 minutes or so. And the radio comes back on. A second plane has hit the other tower. And then we got up and was like, what the heck is going on? So we turn on the news, start looking into it. And then the rest of the day was literally spent checking the news, watching things, listening to what was going on. And like, there were people working with us that were out of town on travel. There were actually people flying into Maryland to go do stuff. You didn't hear about where people ended up. I mean, one of the guys that was people got diverted all over the place. But one guy, he landed. I think his plane ended up in Kansas or something like that. But he couldn't find any way to get home. I mean, all the hotels were filled. Everything else was nuts. And so they're like, he went to the local dealer and said, hey, can you sell me a car? What do you got? And he bought a Jeep Wrangler and spent the next 2.5 days trying to drive back on a Jeep Wrangler and stuff. And then, they were shutting everything down. We were told, don't go into don't go out the White Sands missile range. The area is locked down. Don't go up to Kirtland Air Force Base. They're shutting it down. No one in and out. Just stay where you are. And so that's how that day kind of went for me, finding out what people were going on, finding out stuff. And I remember we didn't get to go back to the bases and stuff for like a week. And when they did, they had all the roadblocks all set up, everything set up, because they didn't know what else was happening yet and things. But yeah, I remember it very vividly, the alarm clock talking about the first plane it hit, and they were talking about an accident and all that. And between that and the snooze button, then it was like second plane hit, and now it turned into something else.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy, welcome. Yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff going on. So, Kathy,
Hello.
what were you doing 19 years ago today?
19 years ago today, I was homeschooling my girls at that point in time, and my older daughter Jenny was a senior, and she had gone to her part-time job, which was at the bakery, and so that was early in the morning, and I was just getting breakfast and getting my younger daughter ready so we could start school, and Jenny calls me from the bakery. She goes, "Mom, the Twin Towers were hit." And I was like, the Twin Towers? What are the Twin Towers? I'd never been to New York. I knew what the Empire State Building was, the Sears buildings, all those, but I wasn't familiar at that point in time with the Twin Towers. And so and she said, some planes rammed into them, and I was like, what? And so I turned the TV on and was just, of course, just sitting there watching it in shock and just horror, and those images never leave your mind. All the things that were going on. But anyway, it was needless to say, it was just like our whole day was just obliterated in that way. But it was after realizing that it was a terrorist attack, I was just like, I just remember feeling and saying that, like, this is war. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like they just declared war on us. This is war. And so, it was a pretty day, and that's where I was. I was at home. Yeah.
Let's see. Kaylin says she was still in bed. Get to Walgreens for a few more hours. Her store sold out of all radios, portable TVs, AA and AAA batteries that they had in stock.
Wow.
Yeah. For me, I was one of the two security supervisors at Chevron. At the time, it was Chevron Texaco's corporate headquarters, and I was on 12-hour shifts, and I was at the first half of the week. And the other supervisor was, and I was on the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift, and the other guy was at the end of the week on the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. shift. And so part of my job was making sure that because even at 6 o'clock at 5, 6:45, the president of the company would show up at work. This guy worked long hours. And so I was always there when, make sure that the special gate for the executives was working and stuff, get him in there, check in with his security detail, give them a rundown of what had happened overnight. If anybody been in the buildings, because there was like 13 buildings in that complex. But I was there, and it just gotten some word of it, because the time difference from back east to out here, out in California. And so when he rolled in, he goes, what's going on? And I gave him a rundown of everything we'd heard. And he went straight in and he started, he had the offices that were over in San Francisco, had them shut down and, start calling people not even to come into work.
Mm.
And they started shutting down a lot of their stuff. Anything they could shut down, they shut down. Anything they couldn't, but they could scale back, they scaled back refineries, production. They started, backing everything off because they weren't sure what targets were going to be where and everything. So they shut a lot of stuff back on that. And
Oh, sorry, go.
What was weird is about 10 o'clock, I got a call from my nephew. And he was in the Navy, stationed at Lemoore Naval Air Station. And he goes, "You following this?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "We got every plane here up in the air with 5 on the ground ready to go back up, and they're rotating them out 5 at a time." So in the Lemoore Naval Air Station, he said they were up and, flying down over LA. Marines were up flying, from Pendleton every which way. And, so.
You really didn't know exactly where everything was coming from. You didn't know what cities were going to be hit next. You didn't, and so it's like, where all of that was.
Yeah, it was also interesting with seeing how much of the continuity of government plan had been just sat wasting away, and they hadn't refreshed any, because there were whole sections of groups they had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even get Bush into the bunker till hours after the first event, right?
Trying to remember. I don't think they put him in the bunker until the next day. I think
maybe that's what it was. Because I remember, when it happened,
they put him up in Air Force One. They put him in the air.
Yeah, he was in Air Force One. They got the vice president in the bunker right away.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, because I remember he was reading a children's story when it started to happen to kids at a press thing.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so they were like, "Oh, we better get moving."
Come on, things keep on jumping here. I want to throw this. Yeah. So that was the first that night. There were no planes flying, commercial planes. Air Force One was still in the air that night, and there were refueling tankers, and there was there were a whole bunch of military craft, but there were no commercial flights going on.
Yeah, they had to. Yeah. For Air Force One, it can mid-flight refuel without trouble.
Yeah. Now this is kind of really affected my entire life since then.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you that follow me on Facebook, if you see my face, my icon there, I'm in a green shirt. I'm in this green shirt, which has the DHS logo on it. This was my uniform that I wore, when we set up DHS, and so, it affected my life. I had a whole new career. I got recruited out of the private sector back into government, and so for me, it wound up being a whole nother experience that I hadn't planned on. I was planning on finishing getting my my degree. I was working on getting some. I was taking political science and English lit classes. I was going to be a writer, and so that all changed. But I would like to run some pictures here by you guys and some facts here. All right, so
By the way, good evening, Reed.
Huh?
I didn't say hi really to you guys. Good evening.
Yeah, that's fine. Hi. All right. So so we're going to look back at some numbers here. Now, there is some correction on these numbers here. These were the official, or I'll quote the official numbers. The numbers don't add up consistently because it says 343 of them were New York City firefighters. There were firefighters that came over from Jersey and other ones too, and lost their lives as well. And the bottom one here in the green, there are still first responders who are dying due to 9/11 related illnesses. So the number is actually going up because they were killed because of 9/11.
Yeah, it was that horrible cloud of all that junk that came down when it went.
Yeah.
That just made the place look like, the apocalypse zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. This fire truck in this picture is coming over from Jersey. This is the last photo.
Okay.
Showing this fire truck and its crew. They were at the base of one of the towers when it came down.
Quick response there too. Wow.
Yeah. And this is after the second tower had been hit. There is another guy besides this that he planned. Not only that, he planned the first attack in the basement several years beforehand.
Oh yeah, that bombing with the truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the basement, and he was this other guy that was his partner. Also, was the one that was did the stuff that happened late afterwards with the shoe bomber, the liquids and stuff. When all of a sudden you can't carry more than 3.4 ounces on a plane because they found his apartment. By mistake, he did some screwy thing. They found him, and they found all his information on his laptop, which did not get destroyed, about the what they were doing. But so yeah, these guys here. Now, if you notice, most of these guys were from Saudi Arabia, and
were they?
Yeah, I've always thought.
What was that, Kathy?
Were they Al-Qaeda from Saudi? I'm sorry, Reed.
How many were from Saudi Arabia? I know more than 50% of them were from Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure. I don't have that. When I retired from DHS, I left. I didn't back up and take my disk of all my presentations I had on my work computer. Dummy me. And I had all the other information there about this because I used to teach about this stuff to all the new hires. And so, yeah, I lost all that extra information. So, yeah. Let me run some through here. Not going to spend much time on these. Just go through. We've all seen it, or most of us have seen it. Now, here's the interesting point. Most people, how many buildings were destroyed?
I'm trying to think.
In New York or elsewhere?
Was it
in New York.
13 or 15 or something like that? Or I'm trying to remember.
Okay, these were the buildings that were destroyed.
Probably more than that, but
there were a bunch that were damaged.
Okay.
These are the ones that were destroyed, gone.
Okay.
These are the damaged buildings. Of the damaged buildings, the one here on the bottom, the bank building, had to be deconstructed because of all the water damage and mold from all the sprinklers and everything going off, and it just ruined it. And so basically they deconstructed it, tore it down, and rebuilt. But yeah,
I think I've watched too many cooking shows. I'm thinking of deconstructed in a different way.
Yeah. So there were besides the World Trade Center, right next to it was the World Financial Center buildings, and number 3 got pretty badly damaged by the towers, the collapse and the debris falling out, as a lot of them did. But most I talk to people, how the only 2 buildings got destroyed. No, a lot of buildings got destroyed because those things came down. There were a lot of smaller buildings around them in comparison that just got dropped on.
Yeah.
Okay, this was the a placard I have. Was this was our motto, not on our watch, and we had a placard and stuff. And I left my placard there for the team to have. Okay. Do I want to do that? Let me go back to us.
It would have been crazy to have been in one of those buildings when that happened.
Oh yeah, there are some recordings, and it's like,
yeah, I've watched
political correctness killed most of the people in the second tower. Which one was first? North Tower or South Tower got hit first? North Tower got hit second. The North Tower, they had the alarm came on and it told them to evacuate, and the rent-a-cops there turned it off and said, "Do not evacuate. We are totally safe in this building."
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, that was a. Yeah. Yeah, when you have a building that's been hit by an airplane flying into it right next to you, you evacuate, you get the heck out of Dodge. But I had a video that I was trying to find. I wanted to share with you, but I left the disc. It's on my desk in California. It was given to me by the model workplace manager of TSA. It's a 5-year anniversary disc that they made of the TSA employees, telling what they were doing, what they saw, and why they joined TSA. And so these are the ones in the beginning that are pure patriots that were out there and just quit other jobs and went to work to protect this country. And
yeah, a thing came out from the FBI saying they had an absolute flood of applications and stuff.
The military,
military numbers shot up real hard after then and everything.
Yeah, the what was it? I couldn't find the picture of her. I know it's there. The miracle stairwell. Does everybody know what the miracle stairwell is? That one team of firefighters went in the one stairwell down there, and they huddled in there. And when everything came down on which, I forget which building it is, that was the only, couple, stories that survived was that one stairwell that they were in.
And there was also
North Tower. All right, Ryan says North Tower was hit first, South Tower was hit second. So the South Tower is the one that they said, "Oh, don't evacuate."
Yeah, there was also the story that's like one office group where the manager in charge there was like a safety first kind of person, and so he made people practice evacuating on foot using the stairs. And so when it happened, everyone knew what to do, and they all got out alive. I remember reading about that story.
Yeah. There, the interesting thing from this was that back east, they did not know what a unified command was. California was the big thing for unified commands because of the fires they have in California. Southern California Fire Protection, blah, 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 blah. I forget what it is, big old long acronym. They developed the incident command system. And, because they'd have all these different, they would have a fire down there in Laguna Hills, Orange County, Los Angeles County, Riverside, everybody responds to put out the fires. Well, they got to have who's in charge. And so they had that down pat in California. And if you look at the incident command system from California, the original booklet and stuff they had, and then you look what what FEMA put together under Presidential Homeland Security Directive number 2, it's the exact thing, word for word, except where it says California, it says United States. They took it, stole it, and just boom. Of course, now over the years, they've updated it and they've changed it more and they've worked more stuff on it and everything. But the original one they took from this, and it was because what happened in New York City a little bit, because you had all the ones coming over from Jersey and Brooklyn and everything else. And but at the Pentagon, they had everybody responding, and you had federal government the military trying to be in charge, and everybody, all the ones responding, and they didn't know how to work together.
And they were all operating under different ideas of what the threat was and all that and stuff. How bad the firefighters found is when the water system in the tower, the skyscrapers, was damaged. They had no equipment to get water up that high, even spray it and all that other stuff. So after that, they had a lot of revisions and retrofits to try to be able to fight the fires better in these giant skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And then there was also a lot of training of when to focus on evacuation and just not even worry about the building. Just get everyone out and don't even fight the fire. They've done a lot of that to call it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Every building that a federal government has an office in, after that building was required, the owners of the building, because they rent offices for the IRS, they rent office space in this building, they rent and that's the way things go. Every building is required twice a year to evacuate. They have to evacuate, practice a fire drill to evacuate the building twice a year, and that was something new because of this.
And they had one of the towers had a Secret Service office in it, and they only lost one guy. They were able to, everyone else they got, but one guy was staying behind because he was a paramedic trying to help. And he passed.
Yeah.
He didn't make it.
But
there were actually two pastors from my area that were down right in New York City at that point in time. There were supposed to be three of them, but one of them had to kind of back out of the trip. And so anyway, the two were there, and one is definitely more type A, and it's like, okay, we've got this schedule, this schedule, this schedule. They were having coffee at a coffee shop. I don't know if it was across the street from the Twin Towers or maybe 2 blocks away, but very, very close. And they were supposed to take a tour of the towers. And so the one that's really type A, he was just like, let's go. We got to be up there, at 9 o'clock or something. That's when our tour is. And the other one is just like super type B and laid back. He's like, you know what? I want another cup of coffee. Let's just hang out here for a little bit. We don't have to rush up there. And so they did. They stayed for a second cup of coffee, and that saved their lives. They and of course, both of them have dealt with years of PTSD from being down there. But they were right there, and they stayed right downtown ministering to people all over the place. I mean, so they were right in the thick of it, and so they had gone around for a couple of years, kind of giving their testimony and their story with that. So it was.
Okay, I have a couple videos that we'll play here.
Okay.
Let me put the one in here, see if I can get it going here.
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We don't know if it was a private aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now. We have, I understand, an eyewitness on the phone right now. Sir, good morning. This is Bryant Gumbel. Could you give us your name?
Yeah, my name is Stuart.
Stuart, where are you right now?
I'm working at a restaurant in Soho.
All right, so tell us what you saw, if you would.
I was waiting at a table and I literally saw it seemed to be like a small plane. I just heard a couple noises. It looked like it bounced off the building, and then I just saw a huge ball of fire on top. And then the smoke seemed to simmer down, and it just a lot of smoke was coming out, and that's pretty much the extent of what I saw.
Can you tell us about the scene down there right now?
Right now, people are just on the street looking at the building. There was just a lot of smoke. It's not too crazy down where I am.
How far away from the World Trade Center specifically are you?
I'm actually on Thompson Street North. I'm not too far.
It's 8:54 right now, Stuart. Can you tell me when this happened exactly?
I would have to say about 10 minutes ago.
Were you looking up as the plane approached the building, or did it only catch your attention after it crashed into the World Trade Center?
I heard like a sort of a crashing sound, but I looked up quick enough to actually see something go into the building, but everything happened so fast I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at.
So there's no way you can know whether or not the plane seemed to be in trouble before it crashed into the building.
Oh no, I couldn't tell.
It's hard for us to tell from the picture we're seeing just how far down from the top that plane crashed. Have you any better eyesight to it from your vantage point?
Not really. All I know is it definitely wasn't the top of the building, because that seems to be intact from what I saw.
Obviously, the timing of this is important. It comes before 9 o'clock. Perhaps, and we say that in hopeful fashion, perhaps not everybody was at work, because if that building was in fact crowded with workers, we're looking at probably some casualties and injuries of considerable proportions. But right now there's no way of telling that. We're on the line with another eyewitness. Sir, this is Bryant Gumbel in New York.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. You're Wendell?
Yes, I am.
Wendell, can you give me your last name?
Klein.
Wendell Klein. Tell me where you are, if you would.
Well, right now I'm back in the hotel. I'm in the hotel offices here, the front office.
You're in the, okay, where were you when
I was standing right in front of the hotel. I'm the doorman there. And
the hotel, which hotel?
Marriott World Trade Center.
Right across from the World Trade Center.
It's actually right in between them.
Right in between the World Trade Center. Yes. Okay, so you were standing.
Then after like
I'm gonna jump forward a little bit, guys.
Because like was falling, he was like screaming, and I just.
How much debris? Can you give us an idea of how much came crashing to the ground?
It's just a lot. Brick evacuated all employees.
They have evacuated. This is Bryant Gumbel. I'm down on 59th and 5th. Where are you?
I am in Chelsea, and we are at 8th and 16th. We are the tallest building in the area, and my window faces south, so it looks directly onto the World Trade Center. And I would say, approximately 10 minutes ago, there was a major explosion from probably, it looks like about the 80th floor. It looks like it's affected probably 4 to 8 floors. Major flames are coming out of the north side and also the east side of the building, yes. And it was very loud explosion followed by flames, and it looks like the building is still on fire on the inside.
Which building are we talking about? The one that's westernmost?
Let's see. Yes, sir.
Did you hear the explosion from your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, guys. I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God. It's right in the middle of the building.
This went into the east tower.
Yes. Yes. Right in the middle of the building. And.
Okay. So I'm going to pause it right there for a second. So that is when I think we all realized something is up.
Yeah, not just an accident.
Yeah. And there was I got another little clip here, which is kind of interesting. It's one of these things looking back type clips. Pull it up here. This is a student who was shooting video of it. She was a New York University student. And this is from a news broadcast.
A bomb just went off in the World Trade Center.
Later on, this is her footage.
It's unbelievable.
It was the sound of the first plane slamming into the North Tower that jolted then NYU student Caroline Dries and her roommate from their sleep. Caroline grabbed her video camera and started rolling.
I had just received the camera like a week previously, and so the night before was the first time I was actually using it, so it was just sitting on my desk.
This is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. It looked like an airplane crashed into the building. Thank God it wasn't terrorists, though.
We were kids. Like, we were so vulnerable and so naive.
Dad, what is that falling? Is that a person?
Where?
Oh my God, falling.
My reaction was that there's no way people are going to be jumping to their death I just couldn't go there.
Caroline kept rolling, her hand steady, her nerves not.
Oh my God! Oh my God! What? Oh my God! It's terrorist attack! What do we do?
I just remember feeling like I don't know what to do.
Oh my God! What do we do? I don't know!
That feeling of being so vulnerable was so overwhelming. And so we ran out of the apartment, took the elevator down to the street, and it was just kind of pandemonium on the street with no one knowing what was happening.
Feeling unsafe.
Man, they had no idea what to do.
Yeah, they didn't.
Megan drinking apple juice. And vodka.
Mom.
Yeah, Mom, this is totally apple juice. Wait, sorry.
Oh!
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Meg, just hang on.
No.
Oh, look at the window.
Shut the window.
That is still so chilling, just gives me goosebumps to see that. It looked like a monster. It looked like something out of a horror movie. This just massive dust cloud consuming everything in its path. It's just still so surreal.
10 years later, Caroline Dries is all grown up, a successful writer and producer in Hollywood. But she acknowledges she's already made the most compelling television of her life.
It took kind of 10 years for me to understand why this footage is special. People, I think, want to remember the details clearly and to hold on to it because they know how significant it was. Sometimes I think, it would be nice to have not filmed it, to just have run and let time kind of erase all of the details and just move on a little faster.
Jessica Gomez for CNN.
Yeah. I mean, her ending thing there of maybe if she not wishing she hadn't shot it and she could have moved on, but I don't think we really should move on per se and forget about it, let the details fade. I think we need to remember details and keep it vigilant. My grandmother was an uber patriot. She was born in 1899. I can guarantee you every day of her life, since she was at least a teenager, she was putting up the American flag on Flag Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. She knew so much about American history, and she never, ever let any of her grandkids disrespect the flag or the country. And she'd always give us a lesson, ready to give us a lesson in patriotism and about remembering everything: Civil War, Revolutionary War, War of 1812, the Spanish-American War, everything. She knew everything about history. And this is another part of history. I think this is something that needs to be taught, needs to keep us to remembering that freedom is fragile. There are people that don't want us to have it. There's my political Trump today.
Can I share? I don't know if too many of you saw the video that I did a year ago for 9/11, but we're very patriotic in our family too. And my sister at that time worked for Northwest Airlines, which is now Delta. But anyway, one of the things that she wanted to do for the 5-year anniversary of that was to do like they did the Hands Across America at one point for awareness and raising funds for was it World Poverty or something, and she wanted to do it from the 3 crash points, and kind of get that going and do that. So, in order to do kind of a preview to that, working up to that point for a couple years. Well, I can't remember if it was the first year after or it was 2 years after, but she and my mom went around, drove it's about 750 miles, the round trip from all the 3 sites. And every couple miles, they got out and put like a red, white, and blue ribbon out on like a telephone pole or a post or something, and drove the sites, and then went to each site with that. And the second year she did it, I went with her, and it was incredibly moving. To fly into DC and then start the trip going through. What did we do? New York first, I think it was. So we drove into there, and to go right down to ground zero when it was still a chain link fence around everything and still the hole right there was just incredible. It was my first time to New York. That's where I went. It was to ground zero. And then we drove out across Pennsylvania and went out to Shanksville. And at that point, it was still just, bare field with the fence around the crash site and everything. And, seeing the crater that was out there. And then they had the memorial markers of every single person that was on board right there. And again, a chain link fence where you could leave memorabilia and ribbons and prayers and different things like that. And then we drove back down through Maryland and we got within like a mile of the Pentagon when we had to stop, but we were still able to leave something at least that close. And flew out. It took 3 or 4 days, I think, and we would take turns, like 2 or 3 hour shifts. One would be in the back seat making the ribbons and then jumping out and attaching it to where we could, and then the other one would be driving, and we'd shift. But just doing that was an incredible experience and very moving, and definitely being at all 3 of these sites, and not just going to one, but experiencing all 3 of them was incredible. I mean, it's just like you said, Gil, it's something you'll never forget. And then a few, probably, well, she met with the like the families and the team out in New York to try to get that hands across, the thing going. And it was way too raw yet for everybody, and it was just not received. And so that never got off the ground. But, it's even almost 20 years later, the grief is still very raw for everybody too there. And it's, it's hard for them to really deal with it. I was able to also, somewhere around 2004, I think, I was blessed to I was helping in youth ministry, and we took 3 busloads of teenagers out to Ohio, and we went out to Shanksville to have some services out there, and that was very, very moving. So being out there praying, for all of the people who went down in the plane and their families and everything, as well as the impact that it made on all these teenagers, because out here in Minnesota, quite removed from everything that went on, and a lot of them were still in grade school when it happened, and now they're just getting into high school, and so it definitely left an impact with them. But so anyway, that's kind of my stories of what I've done as part of that. And But you're right. We can't forget it. It's just like the Holocaust. We can't forget. Otherwise, it will repeat.
Well, the one thing we got to avoid, though, is to be a little more uplifting, is to say we can't let the pain drive us to living in the past.
Exactly.
Think about gaining the perspective, having it form our resolve, be with us, but not hold us back from accomplishing greatness.
Right.
So I often didn't like what they did with the towers. I would have said, do the American thing, build them back, but even taller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I thought we should have treated that. As like, we're going to build them back. You ain't scarring us. We're going to even make them taller, you jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that you just reminded me of when I was doing my COOP training, continuity of operation planning training, and my incident command training. One of the instructors there worked with the Contra Costa County search and rescue teams, and they sent their dogs back to Ground Zero to help look for people, pieces. And they were back there for 2 weeks. And then the one of the other instructors there was from the San Mateo County Search and Rescue, and they went back at a different time, and they were rotating the dog teams out. They'd be back there for 2 weeks, but they were working every third day. So they had three separate teams in there, and they worked 1 day, had 2 days off. Worked 1 day, had 2 days off for 2 weeks, and that's what they were doing back there. So, yeah, it's a
right. I think Reed. No, you're absolutely right. I think too. Definitely remember the devastation and the somberness of everything. But you're right. Let it not paralyze us. Let it move us forward into action.
Mm-hmm. Learn from it, overcome it.
Yeah.
Just like when someone dies.
Yeah.
They live through your memories and all that. We just have to gain some time to gain the perspective, so the pain isn't as raw.
And that's what my sister kept running into, and because she went out there 2 or 3 times to meet with the families in New York, and that's what she kept running into, is that wall of being paralyzed, and it's just like nobody was willing to move beyond that. And but it was, I don't know if it would even be effective anymore in 20 years. I don't know. So,
yeah.
But it was very moving. It was definitely something to remember.
I know a lot of cities that weren't involved in it when they were tearing down the and hauling off the pieces of steel and stuff were buying pieces of steel. The money was supposed to go forward to pay for the project that was going on there, but they'd buy the big chunks and they'd put them on display make their own little parks, display parks, whatever you want to call them, at their stuff. I know for the city of Martinez in California, they put it down by the Amtrak station, their new Amtrak station. So as you come up on from the east side of it, there's a cross member there. I think actually it's a corner cross member, because it sits up at an angle. It's got 2 pieces coming down, but it's aiming. They lined it up so it's aiming back to Ground Zero.
Wow.
Hey, Arnold. Yeah, sure. What we're doing, we're talking about where we were 19 years ago, and you can just type in there what you were doing. We've had people, P2E typed in the very beginning that he was in the Mellon Bank building, I think he said, in Philadelphia on the 26th floor. and they wound up evacuating from there as well.
Lots of tall buildings they evacuated because they didn't even know it was coming. I remember reading about that.
Hey, Colleen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I was talking to my daughter. My daughter was asking me what the topic was going to be, and I told her. She goes, I was in 4th grade, and so she really didn't. From my understanding, they didn't talk about it in the school. They didn't want to upset any of the kids, so they just and the kids go home and they found out about it at home.
Wow, that is so different. So when Challenger exploded, remember that in like 80? Was it 88? They wheeled a TV into the classroom and turned it on to the news so we could see everything going on. And so we all got to see Challenger explode like 40 times that day from the news clips.
Yeah. My middle son was in she's in 4th grade. He was in 1st grade or kindergarten. 1st grade, I think. And my youngest wasn't he was 3 years old, so no, he was 2 years old. He was 2 years old, yeah, from 99 to 2001, yeah. He was almost he was going to turn in 11 more days. He would turn 2, so he was a young in there, and yeah. So they really, the only one that really understood what was going on was my daughter.
You guys have a lot of great comments here on the side.
Yeah.
A lot of little clips here of different things that you heard and read, and thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on the side chat there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I remember, like for when anything like that for me was when I was in school was JFK being shot.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came in. They asked us to write a letter to Jackie.
Oh wow! Did you get anything back?
No. But they just there's a bunch of letters. They put them all together and they sent a big old huge box off from all the school. But so back on this here. So
yeah, I remember that day too, Gil, and Bobby Kennedy too. And tend to remember those moments, especially as a child when your parents are reacting, also out of horror and grief and everything. It's like it leaves a great impression too.
Yeah. So is this one here say?
Wow.
Till relatives could kind of take the boy, yeah.
Now, Kaylin, were you living in New York at that point? Or that was your sister?
Her sister, yeah.
Sister.
Prepper Sarge was I got back to the office right as the second plane. Oh.
That's a good move. Prepping a
Yeah.
stage. Yeah, it's wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I think I know all of us have been affected by it.
Mhm.
I'm not sure anybody wound up doing an entire professional life change like I did, but I know a lot of people. I have a lot of good friends that have, and I'm still on Facebook with them and stuff that did change, and they went to work for TSA, DHS, Customs, ICE, FBI. So a lot of people that I know that I wound up knowing because I made my change did the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you for what you did, Gil.
Yeah. It's been, I don't want to say that it was my pleasure, but I did enjoy it for most of the 16 years I was there. So,
So, in your opinion, because of bringing Homeland Security together and the agencies, do you feel that has greatly improved, or is there still a lot of holes out there, or is it?
There's gobs of holes.
There's gobs of holes.
Yeah.
There and part of it was was political maneuvering. Originally, the FBI was supposed to be under Homeland Security, and a lot of people were whining, "Oh, we need to keep them under the Justice Department." And there's a big hole gap there between Homeland Security and the FBI. Same thing with NSA. So there are gaps out there because they're still we're the number one intelligence agency, and we're the ones supposed to be doing this. It's like and they remind me of professional sports players. They're out there. They're the star on the basketball court or on the football. And they don't. They're not playing well with their teammates.
It sounds more like wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. It could be WWF. It's a scripted comedy. But yeah, there is a lot of holes still, and a lot of stuff, information not being shared. Information is being gathered, and one agency is hoarding it and not sharing it with the others because they're trying to crack the code or do whatever they want to do, to get the big woohoo! You get a big budget increase now. So.
Yeah, they often call it siloing. We have a big problem with that. It's all over.
Yeah.
And yeah. That is definitely for sure. And sadly, they were making progress on doing a lot of work about sharing stuff and things because, like, NSA Net, which is the NSA classified network, became like the clearinghouse for a lot of stuff getting moved back and forth. Well, after Snowden literally took all that, put it on a disk, and ran to Russia, yeah, they pulled back hard. We have severe siloing going on now because they're like, if we put it all together, some jerk like Snowden's going to steal it all again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the thing is, though, my opinion on that is, they shouldn't be playing those frigging games that to be worried about that. Some of the stuff that Snowden took was stuff that they should not have been doing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's for sure too. It's just it's just the way the politics of it work. They got smacked up hard on one side, so they're just pulling back the other way.
Yeah.
So, Gil, do you see Liberty Gardens comment to you?
Okay.
You're welcome, Arnold.
The reason why FBI isn't under Homeland Security because political maneuvering. There were a lot of people in the Justice Department had enough pull members in Congress, and it's a big political mess. I don't want to get too deep into it, but basically it's like, oh no, we're going to keep them with the Department of Justice. They don't need to be under Homeland Security. But hey, when it comes to domestic terrorists, who's the one that says, hey, it's our job? FBI. And tries to shut out Homeland Security, which is, hey, that's our job. But anyways, yeah, so there were a couple other agencies that they originally wanted to bring into it, and they kind of went, oh no, all right, we will keep these out and stuff because they're not really Homeland Security type stuff. The biggest comedy about the whole thing, guys, and you're going to find this funny. The Stafford Act makes FEMA during a national disaster the number one in charge agency in the United States government. Except for one thing now. Now it's under Homeland Security. So when there's a big thing like a big hurricane in there or whatever, a big disaster, the administrator of FEMA has to go tell his boss what to do. His boss at Homeland Security, his secretary said, no, we need to do this. Yeah, I'm in charge now. You know how well that goes over.
What is the Stafford Act again, Gil?
The Stafford Act it was written by it was originally penned by Tom Ridge, who became one of the secretaries of Homeland Security. But back when he was a senator, wrote the Stafford Act. Another senator hopped on to it. Senator Stafford hopped on, took it over, ran with it for him. And it basically says that when there's a big like 9/11 happens, FEMA is in charge, period, flat out. They will tell everybody else what to do as far as resources, everything coming in. They're supposed to be in charge to manage the event. And which means they tell every Department of Interior, Department of Education, everybody.
That's concerning.
No. Well, things it's structured with a tight framework on it of control.
Oh, okay.
And it's for the duration of that thing, for supplies for that event. It doesn't have to do what's testing like food and drug testing going on somewhere else. Everything for that event, FEMA's in charge of, and they can pull resources from anywhere to manage it up until they were put under Homeland Security. And then now you have a political snafu catch-22 where during an event, the administrator is supposed to be over his boss. Basically, boss, administrator. Oh, no, other way around. During the disaster and then back again. But so that's unfortunate. That's one of the things where our elected representatives fouled up.
Okay. The only reason I asked it was concerning because it's like, is FEMA qualified to be in charge of all of that? I mean, that was where I was wondering.
Oh yeah, they have the people in there. That's what they have people in there, and that's what they train for.
Okay.
All the time. They have people all across, all the different states everywhere. There are 9 FEMA regions, and each one of them has several teams ready to go to anywhere within their region to handle, to be boots on the ground, handling stuff and going. But however, now there is something else, everybody, just a little side note here. The Stafford Act also says that the counties and states must put forth all of their resources to handle that emergency before FEMA can put forth resources. They can come in and start advising and lining everything up. But if, like, say, Mayor Nagin of
had to go Walking Dead, huh?
Mayor Nagin of New Orleans doesn't put out all his put everybody, all right, we're rolling, we're putting all our resources to it, and then the county commissioner doesn't put all their resources to it, and then the state of Louisiana doesn't put all the resources to it. FEMA is hand tied. They can't do any. They cannot put any of their resources out there until these guys put their resources out first. They will come back and reimburse them for everything, but they got to put the resources out there first. And so that was the big thing with Administrator Brown. He got blamed. Well, why don't you help him? Well, he didn't say. He did not come out and say, because Mayor Nagin's not doing this. The governor's not doing this. As soon as they do that, we got all this ready to roll. And he wouldn't do that. He didn't know how to throw the blame right, and he got axed because of it. But if something like this were to happen again, FEMA and Homeland Security, response times with the way the incident command system is now set up would be a lot quicker, a lot better response. The right people would be in charge of disaster at the time.
I mostly agree with you on that. I mean, they did revise stuff. They did a lot of wargaming on, hey, come up with other crazy ideas and all this other stuff. They really did improve a lot of that. They consolidated a lot of the command structures. They organized a lot of and figured out a lot of the analysis paralysis problems. Hey, the building's on fire. Oh, is it a terrorist attack or is it this? And don't worry about that. Get the people out, sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
We can worry about what it is later, sort of thing. They've done a great job on that. But as we've always seen, life likes to surprise us. I mean, shoot, some new event is going to cause a total new, we've got to relearn everything event. I mean, they just always come throughout history. I mean, so we're a lot more prepared for what we think we're prepared for.
Yeah. Okay, I just noticed in the side chat here, Arnold Lane is asking if someone shadow banned him or not. I can see his comments.
I can see him too.
Yeah.
No, Arnold, you're not shadow banned.
Yeah. There's we learned a lot of lessons from 9/11, and unfortunately, it was a high price to pay for those lessons.
Yep, Jay, you're right.
Actually, well, all right. My job title, I had two job titles while at DHS. The one was the executive officer of the coordination center. The other one was the emergency management coordinator, and I had both those job titles at the same time. As emergency management coordinator, I wrote 47 tactical response plans for responding to wildfires, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, persons with infectious diseases, pandemics, radiation, accidental radiation leaks, hijackings of planes, buses, trains, ferries, cruise ships. I mean, I spent 2 years just writing tactical response plans and then send them out to the ones, all right, practice them, tell me what works, what doesn't work, and we'll fix them up.
Yeah, and if you go talk to most, if you're in the U.S. and you go to your county office, they usually have the emergency management officer, whoever that is, and often Homeland Security will come down and they do tabletop exercises. What if you get a blizzard of the century here and it shuts everything down? What fails and what doesn't fail? So they'll do these tests. I mean, they don't shut a town down, but I mean, they do tests, go through all the scenario and all that stuff as a tabletop exercise to also help educate all the locals about a lot of stuff. Yeah.
For Western region, they use Oakland International Airport for, just lost that on the tip of my tongue, where all the law enforcement agencies from all around the region come together and they practice taking a plane that's been hijacked. They practice taking a building that has been, taken over, like Die Hard, where they secured the building, how to get in, take out the people. And they practice this. Sheriff's departments, state police, highway patrols, FBI, ATF, they all practice together so that when something happens, hey, all right, we've worked together. We know how to do this. Let's do it. What do we got here? Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me get something out here real quick in the private chat here. All righty. All right, back over to comments here. All right. Actually, Jay, no, they did not. Believe it or not, guess what most of these guys like out there and what they ordered from the food services: salads, orange juice. Yeah, donuts were not big on their hit list. All right. All righty. Yeah. So, I mean, right now, like I know down in Louisiana and in California and Oregon, right now, FEMA is willing to help as much as they can with all these other events going on. But guess who's got their budget slashed? By Congress. Yeah. I know Brett's been talking about the things going on down there in Louisiana and their troubles and responses. And they've been, what I'm trying to say here? The counties are trying, most of the counties are doing their stuff, but from my understanding is the state is throwing a monkey wrench in the recovery plans. And so I know there's some problems with getting FEMA money because of what the state is doing. And same thing out in California, though, it's just the opposite. And in Oregon, that I believe they're getting all the federal funding and stuff and help they can because, hey, at least they've been playing together out there for 40 years. And they know how to do that sort of thing. Yeah. Anybody have anything, any of their personal experiences from 19 years ago they want to share on the side chat here? I know we started going far afield here, but and get it back on track here. Pull this down here for a second and get something else here ready.
Yeah, I just remember, it kind of completely shut down the country for 3 full days, I think it was. So, yeah, just trying to figure out where everything was coming from.
Yeah, let me see if I can do this right. Okay. All right, this is yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going. I think we're going to wrap it up here, but I got a little thing here to show everybody here first. So this is an idea from Uncle Al. So to kind of show what's coming up here. All right, so Tuesday we're going to be talking about the California and Oregon wildfire. Oh, come on! I hate it when it does that. It's on a timer, and I got to stop it here. I forgot. I borrowed one. I redid an old one, and I didn't realize I had a timer on it. Okay, so Friday, next Friday, we're going to talk about some of my books, how you can get one, and do a little reading from them. Tuesday is going to be talking something about work good for Reed's thing is 12-volt power hacks. You can buy in a pinch. The 25th, we moved to Saturday for a birthday special. I turned 63.
Okay.
And then these, oh, crud. Anyways, let me go back to here. There we go. See if I can get the pause here. But well, I guess not. Let me do it this way. All right. So show it that way. So on Tuesday, September 29th, talk about why should we prepare? Is it worth the bother? And I want a lot of input on this, guys. Friday night special, October 2nd, personal hygiene. Really? Why? Remember we talked about that. And then
hey, if you're so stinky, they smell you from 20 feet downwind.
Yes, exactly.
So, Gil, is that personal hygiene for like any time or just during emergency times that you're talking about?
Hey, whatever you guys want it to be about. You want about normal times, emergency times, whatever. Hey, on this thing, my biggest pet peeve at work, and not just at my work, but dealing with other people, was these ones that think they had to use the stinkiest bath soap and then put on a ton of perfume, and as they walk by, my mustache would burn off and hit the ground. Yeah, so these are some of the things just coming up here. And guys, like for a couple of these, I got question marks. You guys have a topic out there you want to discuss? Down in the description below here, the last line is the email address. Send me an email of what you would like to talk about. I think I got some pretty good things here lined up. Generators versus solar generators, which is better for you. 12-volt hacks. My survival books, the California wildfires, freezing temperatures. Yeah, I think that's going to have some good stuff coming up here. And if you come up with a great idea, hey, I'll have no problem pushing one of the other ones back.
Well, Mama Z, that sounds really good. 2 Philly cheesesteaks.
Oh, yes. Okay, here we go.
On how to win the Powerball.
How to win the Powerball, yeah. Hey, actually, I would like what they have here in Idaho. They have one where you get $1,000 a day for the rest of your life. $360,000 a year, but basically it's $1,000 a day for the rest of your life. I wouldn't mind winning that one. I wouldn't mind finding the lottery ticket for that. So, guys, tomorrow, Mama Z's Texas Kitchen, 9:30 Central Time. All right, Philly cheesesteak. Good eating there with Mama Z's Texas Kitchen. All righty, folks.
Sounds great.
Anything else here? Any great?
No, thank you, Gil.
Hey, Jay, just think about it. If you come up with something later on, shoot me an email. All righty, folks. We're going to wrap it up here now. And I want to say to everybody, stay happy, stay safe, stay prepared. And all three of us will see you in our next videos, okay?